Welcome to the Cabin Factory Corporation. At the Cabin Factory, we pride ourselves in creating the best hyper-realistic horror cabins for the movie and theme park industries. Starting today, you will be one of our cabin inspectors. Congratulations! Due to a recent legal dispute that falsely claims some of our cabins are haunted, it's now mandatory to inspect every cabin to ensure the safety of all users. It's important to highlight this claim is untrue and that we have had 0 cases of serious anomalies proven to be the corporation's fault. We're positive you will carry out these inspections thoroughly and professionally. From the whole Cabin Factory Corporation family, have a wonderful first day as a cabin inspector. By entering this elevator, you have accepted all the terms of your contract, which may be updated without notice.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lord Pog Gaming, and I'm your humble host, Lord Pog. I'm honored that you joined me for another game review.
I made you some content dedicated to your favorite open wide.
As today's game is a newer game, well, newer than I'm normally known for, the game in question is Cabin Factory, an interesting loop into a woman's traumatic childhood. Before we get into all that though, first allow me to do my shameless plug of the channel. If you're new here and I get you feeling a type of way, then I'd be honored by your subscribing.
Your daisy if you do.
Regardless of if you're new or a longtime viewer, however, every like and share for the video is a blessing to me. Sign my guest book being the comment section, just to say hi or what I can do to improve on, as I treat even criticizing comments as constructive. Ring my bell for notifications, but just know that despite whether y'all like, share, or subscribe, just you being here makes it all worth it. So sit a spell,
Take a load off, Benny.
and relax with me a little while. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I won't harp on it.
Well, I don't like to harp on a subject,
I don't
but
care. It comes with me, never have. That's why they call me gregarious.
Without further ado, let's get on with today's review of Cabin Factory. Released in December 13th of 2024, Cabin Factory's release date was one of those on-the-nose gimmicks, as December 13th was on a Friday of 2024. Developed by International Cat Studios, who as far as I have been able to find are fairly new developers, with only Cabin Factory under their belt so far. From what information I could find, International Cat Studios is a small company based out of Spain and Japan, and have 2 cats, so that either means International Cat Studios is ran by a couple and or roommates. It's also possible that it's a couple of cat ladies.
What did he say?
Honestly, there's not a lot more about them that I could find, as most sites I went to only talked about Cabin Factory and not them as a company, and I went to IGN.
You serious?
Even their website has the bare bones of information on them, which I've already related to y'all. Perhaps in the future when they get a few more games added to their repertoire, they'll open up to the public more. Publisher Future Friends Games' personal website gave more information on them as a company, which still wasn't much, but enough to talk about for a Southern Minute. A Southern Minute meaning that it could last an actual minute, a second, or a whole hour. There, I taught y'all something. Incredibly unimportant.
What can I say except you're welcome?
But you can use it in a sentence by saying, I'll be there in a Southern Minute, or something of that nature, and that'll buy you all the time in the world. Anyway, Future Friends Games was started by 3 friends, Alex, Paul, and Thomas, in 2017. They are headquartered in the UK, but have since gathered people to help them in their endeavors. As their website puts it, they have gathered a motley crew. as a team, with 2 of them not even living in the UK. They help indie developers publish their games and generally seem like a group of chill folks. So if you're working on a game and need a developer, you might give them a look-see. They've got a few games they've been involved in with like Europa and Kibu, which I've never heard of either of those games, if and I'm being honest. But that doesn't mean they aren't good games. If any of you Golden Wonders out there have heard of any of those aforementioned games, tell me about them in the guest book, and maybe I'll do a review on them in the future.
You liar!
Cabin Factory has had a pretty good outing so far, with Eurogamer giving Cabin Factory a 3 out of 5 stars. IGN, yes, that IGN, hasn't done a personal rating, but out of the 5 user reviews, all of them were favorable. Comfy Cozy Gaming,
They said Whoville.
yeah, that Cozy Comfy Gaming had probably the most interesting score. Their review score was an 8. An 8 out of what? Who knows, but I'm guessing 10, which isn't bad. Yet their cozy score, and I'm not kidding here, yes, their cozy score was a big ol' 0, which makes sense. To be fair, I didn't feel very cozy playing Cabin Factory either. Steam has given Cabin Factory very positive reviews thus far, but with the game's growing popularity, it might not be too long before it gets overwhelmingly positive. All in all, I'm very interested in seeing what's next for International Cat Studios, and oddly enough, in Comfy Cozy Gaming.
What the hell is even that?
I wonder if they've done a review on What Remains of Edith Finch. Better yet, why haven't I done a review of What Remains of Edith Finch? And the parallels of the fall of the House of Usher. The plot behind Cabin Factory is pretty straightforward. The player takes control of Greta. No, not the annoying one.
How dare you!
A different one, who isn't a globalist puppet. Greta's job is to inspect cabins on whether they are haunted or not. Each cabin is on a conveyor belt that spits them out one at a time. The player then must take Greta throughout each cabin and see if they are haunted or not. If the cabin is haunted, she pushes the red button. If not, then she pushes the green button. Then it's done and on to the next one.
That's easy!
It's all pretty straightforward until the player begins to realize that these aren't just random hauntings. Each cabin has the same layout, and that the hauntings are telling of events that Greta may know more about than she's letting on to.
No way!
I don't want to spoil the ending, to which there are multiple, for you Golden Wonders out there. So this section of the video will be rather short. What I will say is that what the player learns happen in the cabin is pretty rough. I encourage anyone who plays Cabin Factory to thoroughly inspect each cabin regardless of what you may see or hear, instead of me, who would run away screaming like a little sissy.
Watch your profanity.
And as a result, I missed out on some of the plot. I pretty much had it figured out though, based upon what I did see, but I still think I shortchanged myself in some places. Still, I recommend exploring as much as you can, because not everyone has the brilliant powers of deduction that I do.
Move this man!
And may miss out on some key plot points. It's a creepy story that kept me on edge the whole time. My brother Android, who plays D&D with me here on the channel, which we record our sessions, and you can totally check him out if you got 3 to 5 hours to spend.
Ooh, yeah,
Per session. But he was watching me play it, and he was laughing at me because of how much I was screaming. Eventually, I went from calling the cabins haunted to calling them cursed, because they are. Cabin Factory works in the same vein of a creepy walking simulator. There's honestly not too much to interact with save for the haunted, not haunted buttons on the cabin console. Also, there's balloons, and that was pretty cool. Mostly what Cabin Factory offers up in gameplay isn't so much the options of control as much as the creepy vibe it exudes in abundance. Just walking through each cabin to see what cursed offerings each bring is where Cabin Factory shines. The sounds of rushing wind each time the player enters the cabin instantly sets the player on edge as the scenery and sounds go from a cold, uncaring warehouse to a cabin, with the sound of humming fluorescent light to bleak rushing wind as if Greta has been transported out into the middle of some unknown forest. Some cabins are not haunted in any way. They are just set pieces, complete with furnishings and mannequins like a dreary showroom. Some are so subtle in their hauntings that it's easy to mistake them for normal, so the player might accidentally pass them through, resetting their count. Seriously, I must have accidentally passed at least a dozen haunted cabins, as the object on the first run is to accurately inspect 8 cabins. Some of the cabins were so subtle in how they were haunted that I completely missed them, and so I'd screw up and pass them. Which is the beauty in what Cabin Factory offers in its scare factor, because one can never be too sure what they are walking into. The player may feel some urgency in inspecting each cabin that they may actually miss what was wrong with said cabin. Then there are the really haunted cabins. Faces smiling at you in the reflections of TV screens, walking aberrations with mouths twisted in such horrific grins it would make the Joker proud.
Yeah.
Feet being dragged behind a wall, and the pure mind games the cabins play. When it's all said and done, I gave Cabin Factory a 3 out of 5 stars.
Damn!
Not a popular rating, I know, but hear me out. I enjoyed it, very much so, but it does suffer from quite a few issues. On a technical level, I had to screw with the settings several times. Cabin Factory starts off sluggish and bogs down when anything freaky is about to happen, which broke my immersion a bit. Anytime I had to run, I would bog down so badly at times that I'd smack a wall.
Yikes! And away!
Just trying to get around a corner. Some could attribute this to my PC being a potato, but I've heard this complaint from others with far better software than I. Best thing to do is turn down all the settings and turn off any pointless features like head bobbing. Which brings me to another issue, if I may.
Here we go again.
The idea of head bobbing is extremely pointless. I've seen this feature in other walking simulators, and I just don't get it. I understand that it's an attempt to make games control realistically, but it doesn't do that at all. People don't stand around bobbing their heads like that one kid from the Peanuts.
Bruh.
I guess what I'm saying, to make a long explanation short,
You're a bit late for that!
is turn down everything in the settings to either off or low, then toy around with it till one knows exactly what their individual PC can handle. This may take a few minutes, and that sucks, but the developers might have been a little zealous in trying to make the game look and feel as crisp as possible. The hauntings are a mixed bag at times also. To put things into perspective,
Too much. There's too much fucking perspective now.
I get that some haunts are so subtle that they are easy to miss. I honestly haven't an issue with that aspect. It's what they don't consider a haunting that gets me. I'm not talking about how things may be rearranged at times, or how some of the mannequins may be moved. No, it's when you hear voices, or the entire cabin is flipped upside down and they don't consider that cursed. They are specific in what they consider a haunting, and that requires movement, whether that movement is subtle or the player is being chased. Yet there are times where the movement is questionable, like noticing something that wasn't there before, or you think it wasn't there before. That's a small gripe when it comes down to it, because that adds to the creep factor when one can't trust their own judgment. In the end, as stated before, I enjoyed Cabin Factory and would still recommend playing it. It's got a lot of replay value, and I'm pretty sure I still haven't seen every haunt. It took me about an hour to play through the first round, but it does reset and offer more. It's also really forgiving. The graphics are still really good even if you have to adjust them. The sounds alone at times made my soul leave its body. The story is excellent with an awesome Amityville horror vibe. It's only $2.99 on Steam right now, so that's high value at decent pricing. But as always, if that price is just unmanageable for any of you Golden Wonders out there, I completely get it. Times are tough right now, so I won't judge any of you for finding any way you deem fit to play. I want to thank everyone for joining me for another review. I know I gave Cabin Factory a slightly low score, and that's kind of risky since it's pretty popular right now, but I'm willing to take the consequences.
Consequences, consequences, as long as I'm rich.
Should I need to for my views. It is, after all, just a hot take, and should in no way influence any of you Golden Wonders out there from playing it. If you like horror, and generally like being creeped out, then Cabin Factory is for you. Don't forget to like and share the video, as that helps the channel out a lot. And if you're new, then I'd be honored if you'd subscribe. Go ahead and sign my guest book. Let me know what you thought of Cabin Factory. Have you ever heard of it or played it?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Ring my bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any of this top tier content. And as always, we may not always see eye to eye when it comes to the real world issues that divide society. Yet it's our love for gaming that brings us here. And while we are here on equal ground, none of those issues matter. With my heart and soul, I love y'all and would fight any horde or foe by your side. You're always welcome in my lobby. Y'all come back now. Stay golden.